just kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
I would say the regular season then, if I'm being honest, because
I'm regular season for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, if the Vikes made a push, sure, 100%, that would be playoffs. But I think the difference is once you get to the playoffs and you only have X amount of games, like the regular season, it's a whole Sunday.
Right.
Of lots of games. It's not just 3 games.
You got what, 6, 4, 4, 2, 1?
Yeah, something. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's what we need. But it's over, fortunately. But now we're on to different, bigger and better things. NBA, college basketball. Ooh, college basketball.
Oh, no.
Oh.
That's Condon. That's bad.
So, yeah. Quickly before we skip to thoughts on the Super Bowl, halftime show, everything. Your thoughts? Just the Super Bowl, not the playoffs.
I mean, I enjoyed that the Eagles won. That's who I hoped would win.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy about that. I didn't necessarily understand all of the symbolism in the halftime show in the moment, but then appreciated it more after.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we're not always going to get really close games. So
right,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think the crazy thing is like people are always, no matter what happens, going to scrutinize.
What were they
scrutinizing?
The
halftime show, not the game. The halftime show.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, you can't win them all. I get it. I do think it was very interesting, like you said. I almost had to like look up, or I kept seeing on TikTok/Instagram videos.
Yeah, the whole
everything.
Next day.
Yeah, and I was like, I wasn't really familiar. I knew there was beef between obviously Drake and Kendrick and whatever, but I didn't realize like how in depth it was and how everything basically he was doing was like there was a symbolism to it.
Well, that and politically, which we don't need to get into.
No,
but
right. But it was just crazy. It's like, and I mean, I guess it's a big platform, so there people are going to use it. But
yeah, I liked that.
Yeah, that's what you do. So, but the game obviously not great happens. I mean, I think it gives people hope now. Chiefs got beat, so now everyone's like, all right, we can do something. Let's do it, baby.
And now you won't hear us talk about football for, well, we might
do draft stuff, but that's
like at the very tail end of the season.
That's April. I believe April's the NFL draft, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty close, yeah.
All right.
It's after March Madness, and then all we have is draft and NBA. So,
yeah.
yes, it will definitely dwindle down.
Okay.
Quickly.
Well, we're going to talk NBA for a short while. This is the last week before the All-Star break.
Yep.
So this coming weekend is All-Star weekend. So games end on Thursday. That's the last day of regular season games before All-Star weekend. And then the festivities start on Friday evening.
Yeah. It's also very interesting because I was trying to look up. They've already played, 60 games? 55 games? 50 games? So it's not necessarily halfway, but it is kind of interesting. But I think I do think this is the first year of them kind of changing up the, whatever you call it, the order, or not the order, but like the way it's played. Because I think what happened is so many people just got sick of like, okay, here's one game. Nobody cares about the game.
Oh,
like
the
All-Star game.
The actual All-Star game.
Right. Nobody cares about it. Nobody really wants to try. It's 200 to 300. And so I think I do like how they're doing it this year. And they're obviously...
So how are they doing it?
Well, they're just doing 3 teams? 4 teams. There will be a 4th team.
There'll be 4 teams?
Yep. The teams were already drafted by Shaq, Kenny, and Chuck. And then Candace Parker has the Rising Stars.
It'll be the winner of the Rising Stars game?
Yep.
And then the 3 teams. How many teams? I think we said what? There's how many people on each team?
8.
Okay. There's 8 people on each team.
Yep.
And the one thing that is interesting about the All-Star rosters is obviously in the voting, which we said, 2 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
That there's starters and then there's reserves, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then once they got into the draft for the 3 teams for All-Stars, you could just pick whoever you wanted.
Yeah,
so
there really wasn't like a starter versus reserve. You could just pick.
It was because before when it was the captains, usually LeBron and Giannis, right?
That was the two highest.
Or LeBron and Steph, I think, one year.
Okay.
But it was mostly LeBron and Giannis. And they would go back and forth, but they would do the starters first. Yep. They would go through those, and then they would go to the reserves. But in this, when there's 3 teams, they
just pick whoever you want.
Basically just had one pool of players.
Yeah.
And so if you look at the draft, I mean, you have 4 starters on one team, that being Shaq's team, I believe. You have LeBron, Steph,
KD, Tatum.
KD and Tatum were all starters. I'll go back to that. Yeah. So LeBron, Steph, Tatum, and KD.
Look at these little stars.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And then, so there's 4 starters on Team Shaq. Then you go down to Kenny's team, 1 starter. And granted, he could have picked more, but it's just like you pick a reserve first overall. That just doesn't make much sense.
Right.
And then you go to Chuck's team.
4.
He has 4.
Yeah, this is Trae Young's just come filling in for
wait, so
Giannis.
How does that make sense? 4, 4, 1?
Because Giannis was hurt. Right? Wouldn't that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Giannis is the one who's
Okay.
Starter, but he's hurt.
Okay, so it would have been 4, 1, 5.
Right. Correct.
So
yeah, I mean
that doesn't make much sense to me.
Well, I think
they should have the starters drafted first, and then move to the reserves just like they did it. Although you're just doing it with 3 teams instead of 2.
Yeah, and maybe they'll do that moving forward. I mean, we'll see how this year goes. I mean, to be 100% frank with you, I think if you would have asked anybody, probably Kenny should have drafted starters, at least 1 or 2 starters right away.
Yeah, and it was weird because they did it where if you
Kenny's team does play so Kenny's plays Chuck's, Shaq's plays Candace's.
Can you go to that thing? So it was weird because the order was Shaq, Kenny, Chuck, and then it went Chuck, Shaq, Kenny, and then it went Kenny, Chuck, Shaq.
And then back to Shaq, Chuck.
Yeah.
Shaq, Kenny, Chuck.
So it wasn't always a snake.
Yeah.
It was a one order, and then Chuck, like 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1.
Yeah.
Like in that order.
Weird.
I don't know. They got to figure that out.
Yeah, to be honest, if you just look at the teams though from an outside, like after the draft, like Chuck's team should play Shaq's team in the finals.
Yeah.
Pretty clearly. I mean, don't get me wrong, Kenny's team has good players, but I just don't.
You want to run through them?
So Shaq's team is LeBron, Steph, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, Dame, James Harden, Jaylen Brown, and then who just replaced Anthony Davis? Kyrie. So he also has Kyrie.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine, like, I'm just saying, hypothetical, Anthony Davis on this team too? Like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, that's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Team Shaq.
Yeah.
Then you got Team Kenny.
And
they play Candace, who's the Rising Stars.
Okay, gotcha.
Then you have Team Kenny, who's Ant, Jalen Brunson, who was the only starter that Kenny drafted.
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson Jr., Jalen Williams, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Cade Cunningham, and Tyler Hero.
Okay. A lot of young guys.
Yeah, a lot of. I don't think this is a dynasty thing, but yeah, interesting. I mean, I think this is the order they probably picked him in too, right?
Correct.
First, second.
Yep.
Yeah, when you start, I mean, not to be rude, but like when you look down at it, it's like, all right, probably should have taken Tatum or Durant over maybe Ant. I would have taken Tatum over Ant.
I would have taken Shea.
Or Shea, yeah, Shea. So then you got Team Chuck, who plays Kenny's team.
I mean, you could have picked Jokic too.
Jokic, Shea, Wemby, Siakam, Sengun, Towns, Cat, Donovan Mitchell, and then you have Trae Young, who replaced Giannis. So that team should also have Giannis. But,
right.
I mean, I don't know. I think the rationale behind it, I don't really understand. And don't get me wrong, they're all stars, so they're all very good players. But like, there's no way that you can look at these 3 lineups. And then Candace Parker has the Rising Stars. We don't know them yet.
I think he picked those guys because they're young and they, in theory, will care and try harder.
Yeah, but when you put stuff on the line, LeBron has already shown he can care if he wanted to. I mean, this is literally like Team USA.
Kind of.
They have 4 of the USA players.
Yeah.
And Jaylen Brown, was he Team USA? No.
Snub.
And then you have the opposite Team Chuck is international superstars. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, I guess you just got to play and we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously, so you just play those 2. We'll play the first round, winners advance, and then I'm pretty sure that's just the championship.
Yep.
So,
2 rounds.
Yeah, 2 rounds, which probably good.
Yep.
So there it is.
All right.
Prize pool $1.8 million. Each player on the championship winning team $125K.
Not bad.
Second place $50K. Third place $25K. Third and fourth place $25K.
Okay, so you make $25K no matter what.
Which is good for the Rising Stars. It's actually decent.
Oh yeah.
Could you imagine if they make the championship, they'll get a minimum $50K. It's kind of like Mac McClung.
It's too bad they're not matched up with Kenny's team.
Well, they might be in the third place game.
Yeah, but third and fourth make the same amount.
Right, but still, bragging rights.
I suppose.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, that's the All-Star game. That is Sunday?
Yep.
Sunday.
Yep. You got 3-point contest.
We do. We got the 3-point
Saturday.
contest. So we have, interesting. So we have 2 guys are also in the All-Star game. So you have Jalen Brunson, Cade, Darius Garland, Tyler Hero, Buddy Hield, Cam Johnson, Dame, and then Norman Powell.
Yep.
Norman Powell, sneaky pick. Good player.
He's been playing well this year.
Yeah, he's been playing very well.
What? Lillard's going for the 3-peat?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, Dame is, got to be the favorite, but...
I would say so, yes, if he's won the last 2.
Yeah. Buddy Hield's a sneaky one, can get hot, but yeah, I would say you probably, if you're a betting man, probably Dame, but I'm going to go with Norman Powell as my sleeper.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know, like they all seem like they're like good shooters, but they don't seem like they'll be good for this type of competition other than Dame.
Well, Dame, yeah, he's done it. I don't know if these guys have done it before. I would have to imagine. Like, Cade hasn't done it.
Buddy will either be really good or really bad.
Yeah, he just hucks him. But if he gets hot,
yeah,
that's the thing.
That would be the really good.
But I think the difference is, too, it's like one of those things where, like, taking a ball out of a rack is different than catching a ball and shooting it.
Yep.
You think they should implement that?
No.
One year? Have a guy just passing him?
No.
It's more realistic. So we'll see. Yeah, and I also don't know if Jalen Brunson's really going to be... Well, we'll see.
I think obviously if you can't pick Dame, you're going Norman Powell.
I'm going, yep.
I'll go with Hero.
That's sneaky.
He's out to prove people wrong. Prove that he belongs there.
Okay.
Celebrity game Friday. I think that's what kicks off the weekend.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then we can do
the Ruffles celebrity game. No, so it's the Ruffles celebrity game and the Rising Stars.
On Friday.
Yep.
Okay.
Wait, that's Friday, and then our State Farm All-Star Saturday night.
Skills challenge and dunk contest. Okay, so Friday, we're kind of jumping around, which is fine. Celebrity All-Star game. These are the teams. Give me one player that you're most looking forward to seeing if you're watching this. So you have Barry Bonds and you have Jerry Rice. Those are the coaches. On Team Bonds, you got Kai Cenat, Baron Davis, Rome Flynn, Alicia Gray, Mickey Guyton, Tucker Halpern, Noah Khan, Danny Ramirez, Masai, Russell, Pablo Schreiber, and Dylan Wang. I only know probably half of those people.
I'm going Baron Davis. What a freaking beast.
Okay.
Bring him back, baby.
Team
Or Alicia Gray's in the WNBA, right?
Yeah,
she's good.
Team Rice is Matt Barnes, Bailey, Chris Brickley, AP Dillon, Drewski, Walker Hayes, Shelby McEwen, Terrell Owens, Shabuzi, Oliver Stark, and Kayla Thornton. I think Kayla Thornton's the WNBA player over there.
Yeah, I'll say this. What's interesting is it probably would be easier to identify these people if they had like a little picture next to them, because I don't really know names.
I mean, there's athletes on Team
I mean,
Rice.
Terrell Owens is an athlete.
They got Terrell Owens. They got Matt Barnes, who obviously played in the NBA. You got Chris Brickley, who's the NBA trainer.
Yeah. Drewski's not. Walker Hayes, great singer.
No, he's not.
So yeah.
Okay, interesting. I think that'll be a snooze fest. We can just pass on that.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, right here. This is so Olympic track and field Masai Russell, track and field Shelby McEwen, Emmy Award winner Ron Flynn, WWE superstar Bailey, star of the drama 911 Olivia Star, 2-time, a lot of Grammy.
Yeah, snooze fest. Pass.
Yeah.
All right, skills challenge. Back to Saturday night.
Yep.
You got 4 teams of 2.
4 teams of 2. You got the team Cavs, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley. You got team Rooks. You got Alex Sarr, and then I don't know how to say his last name. Risache. And then you got team Spurs. You got Chris Paul and Wemby, and then team Warriors. You got Draymond Green and Moses Moody.
Moses Moody seems like a random person in here.
Well, you kind of got to throw somebody random because you're not going to have Steph and who else? I mean, Podzinski maybe. You got to do the Warriors.
Is Podzinski on the Rising Stars?
I think he is. I think I saw when I was watching the Warriors game yesterday. I think
he's been hurt for a while.
10 of their guys are doing stuff.
Really?
Yeah, like Cam Spencer's doing stuff.
What?
Yeah.
Like what?
I think he's on Rising Stars too. I'm telling you, I saw.
That's weird.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but yeah, we'll see. So skills competition. You now have teams. I don't think they've ever done teams, have they?
I thought they did 3. They did a like a few years ago. They did 3-person teams. 1 person from the WNBA team from that city.
Yep.
1 alumni of that team, and then 1 current player.
Yeah, but they had also hit it like a half-court shot. Yeah, I remember.
Right.
Yeah, that was like the last thing.
Yep.
Because the Pacers were good at it.
Yeah.
Right?
They would be good at it now. They go Tyrese Halliburton, they go Caitlin Clark, and they go Reggie Miller. That would be a banging team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Well, let's get back to the 3
teams.
teams.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they do this. Obviously, what the format is, but interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Then you got dunk contest.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mac McClung going for a 3P too, right?
Yeah. Apparently, that's the theme of the year this year.
I'll say this right now. I never realized this, but Castle, that bro can jump.
He can?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, I was watching it live, and he flew and just hammered it on somebody, and I was like, who's that guy? And then it said Castle. I was like, no way.
Yeah, I didn't know he had it in him.
I was going to say, well, he didn't really do it yet. Didn't do it at UConn, so.
Okay, you got Mac McClung, Stephon Castle, Matis Bazelis,
Rookie.
Andre Jackson Jr. Is he a rookie too?
No, Andre Jackson Jr. is not. I'm pretty. Bazelis, or whatever his name is. Bazelis.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. This is the thing is, what makes it hard is, and I'm not saying Mac McClung didn't deserve to win, but when your guy is shorter and he does something cool, or does a normal dunk, it's like, holy shit, this guy is literally amazing. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm 6 feet, I can't dunk, so I'm not saying it, but I'm saying it's a dunk contest.
Yeah.
Like, that's what, we're not doing layups.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
You're right.
I would love to see Castle win, but I don't know. They need to start bringing it back when it was like the high flyers, too. Like, those bros, like the Levine versus Aaron Gordon.
I feel like that's the one that everybody always remembers.
That has to be one of the best ever.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
So.
Okay. Well, we'll see how All-Star weekend goes, and if people like the 3-team plus the Rising Star winner format, or if they're like still stupid, try again.
Yeah. At some point, we've talked about this just in general with All-Star games. There's really not a lot of All-Star games that are ever going to the MLB is probably the one where it's like, okay, we can't really change things up because you have a pitcher who's throwing 100.
Yep.
You're a hitter.
Yep.
Like, what are you supposed to do?
Right.
So, yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know. I don't. Cool, I guess. All-Star game, cool, fun experience, but not my top 5 thing in my life.
Yep.
But there it is.
All right. Well, we are on to the prize darling of the springtime.
March Madness is around the corner. Teams are starting to kind of, figure it out. I always think that, But then all of a sudden, it's like one team loses, gets upset. I mean, UConn is unranked for the first time in X amount of weeks, which is crazy.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, they win it.
They're 27.
Yeah, they're literally on the literally barely outside. And if they win tonight, Tuesday against Creighton, they'll probably be right back in. But
probably, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, a lot of good teams, a lot of fun teams to watch. Just a lot of movement. A lot of movement.
Yeah, teams are moving up and down and up and down.
Yeah.
I feel like there's been more movement in the last 2-ish weeks than there were in like the previous 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Like teams like that. There was a time frame. I feel like maybe our last college basketball update, it was like the top 6 teams, they all just stayed the same.
Yep.
But now it's like almost everybody's moving up and down and up and down. Probably a result of being in conference play and playing teams that know each other.
Well, yeah, and I mean, we've talked about this in the past. I mean, you kind of look like the SEC, how many teams are in the top 25 just in the SEC. And then you also look at it where it's like going on the road and playing in conference is so difficult.
Yeah, it's just like college football.
So like college football and whatever I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy. It's crazy where it's like you have a number 1 team or number 2 team go on the road. Even to play a 500, if not a little bit over 500 team in conference, and the spread might be like 3.5, 4.5, and it's a close game. And it's like, wait, that's the number 1 team in the country.
Right.
But come March, there's not really home court advantage, I would say.
Yeah.
So
you got to be able to go on the road.
Yeah. See what happens. I mean, I don't know. There's some teams that are really making a push, and yeah, there's a lot of green arrows and a lot of red arrows on this thing.
Which means a lot of movement. Well, we are going to do a... well, actually, before we get into that, Auburn, Alabama play this Saturday. 1 versus 2 in the country.
Yep. It's at Auburn, right?
Also, what do they call it? The Iron Bowl in football. Rivalry game.
Yeah, someone say just 2 dominant sports schools.
It's a big game for those 2 teams. But we're going to do a new segment here. Leading up to March Madness. So, obviously, now that football's done, the eyes get to college basketball, and you're probably thinking, there's a lot of teams. Too many teams for me to keep an eye on and see if they're good or bad. But that's why you have us. So each week...
You came to the right spot, some would say.
Yeah. Each week leading up to March Madness, we're going to walk through 3 individual teams each. We'll go back and forth.
Yeah.
But we're going to give kind of an overview of their season. Give you an understanding of who's good, why they're good, or maybe why they're not as good as they should be. And then by the time the tournament comes, that'll be whatever. It is 3 teams each. That's 6 per week. That's like 36 teams or something. So
30.
At least it'll give you a head start on
maybe a little insider information that we think would be helpful for
who you might pick in the bracket.
Yeah, filling out your bracket. So,
or maybe who you don't want to pick in the bracket.
Yeah, maybe you'll fade us. You don't know.
I mean, at that point, we're going through everybody, so there's not really fading in this.
Well, you never know. We'll see.
Okay. All right. So, and also, like, we won't do the same teams on multiple weeks, and
we won't do
the same teams.
Right.
But in terms of like going through them, there will be an aspect of just like kind of randomness.
Right. 100%.
So that means you have to listen each week to hear the teams.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Who's your first team?
First team, I'm going with Texas A&M. Right now, what were they currently just ranked this week? Top 10. They're number 8. I think this is a team that will be sneaky. Have a veteran guard, potential SEC preseason player of the year, Wade Taylor. I think he's the 5th, the 4th, the 6th. I don't know. They also have our boy, Pharrell Payne, playing good minutes, grabbing boards.
I mean, not our boy.
They rank top 10 in rebounds. But I think the thing that will scare... I will say this, the one caveat to them that I might be a little scared about is they're not a high-scoring team. They're ranked like 158th overall in scoring.
Okay.
But they're relying on the defense and rebounding, so come March, sometimes that hurts. Face a hot team and you can't score, not good. But
Right.
I think they'll be a fun team to watch.
Okay. My first team is Kansas.
Oh, wow.
They're currently ranked number 17 in the country. Overall record of 16-7, but they're 7-5 in the Big 12, which is a change because that puts them in 5th in the Big 12, and almost every single year in the past 15 to 20 years, they've been first, or if not first, second. So it's a big change. They've also lost 2 games at home, which never happens.
Yep.
They've beaten Michigan State, Duke, and Iowa State this year. So those are good wins. They've lost. Honestly, they haven't really lost to anybody terribly bad. Their worst loss was at Baylor, which is not that bad of a loss.
No, ranked team.
Currently, they're projected as a 4 seed, which is a little bit disappointing for them because going into the year, they were put into a for sure 1 seed. So that's a little bit farther down than maybe they'd like to be. But the biggest thing that they've experienced throughout the year is they had plenty of injuries. They had KJ Adams get hurt. They've had other guys miss. They haven't gotten maybe as much from AJ Storr as they would have liked. And so they've got everybody healthy back now. And so they're starting to kind of figure it out other than their last game, which they got dominated by Kansas State. But away game, in a rivalry game, not what you want to see, but now that they have everybody back, they can kind of get their feet under them leading into March.
I think they had 20 plus turnovers against Kansas State.
Yeah, it was not good for them.
Yeah, that's
Not
insane.
good. But there you go.
Experience. They got experience. They were the
They have
overall,
experience.
by far, preseason. I think we even said this. I'll have to go check the tape, but I think we were there for sure the number 1 team.
I mean,
The transfers, the people coming back, Dickinson again,
everybody kind of had UConn just because they've won back-to-back. But outside of them, it was Kansas.
100%.
Everybody was Kansas.
Yeah. As they should. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Definitely less of that now, but they still have all the same players, so it's a possibility.
Yeah, I will say this, and maybe it's just a trend, but maybe AJ Storr isn't as good as everyone's saying he is.
There have been some cases of transfers that have come in, and they just have not been good.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, it is hard. I will say, decent segue into my next team, Memphis.
All right.
So Memphis, we talked about them earlier.
Yep.
Obviously, beating UConn and Maui kind of put them on the map. They also have a ton of transfers. Haggerty's a transfer. They got Hunter and Dane Danger, all seniors. The craziest thing about Memphis, they have 1 total freshman on the whole roster.
Really?
1.
So
you want to talk about a person that only uses the portal? That.
Yeah.
Because the guys are not getting developed. They're not what I shouldn't say this, but that is literally portal at its finest. And so, I mean, I don't know. They're a good team. Obviously, they're 15th. They're one of those teams where they can get hot. They have the experience. They've already been shown to beat, like we said, UConn, one of the preseason ranked number 1 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they could get hot. I think they could make a little push. Experience matters, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. I like their point guard, PJ Hager.
He's great.
Yeah, he's good.
He's very good. And to be honest, last thing about them, they don't play a hard schedule.
Right.
Their conference is very low.
Yeah.
And so it's they beat UConn. They lost to Auburn. They've already beat Clemson when they were ranked. They beat Ole Miss when they were ranked. They don't play another ranked team. They play South Florida twice. I mean, they don't because their conference.
Could be good, but also
it could be good, but it could also hurt
good.
their seedings. But I also think they're at a point now, being 14.
Well,
they'll be in the top 10 if they win out. So they'll be a 2 or 3 seed. I think in the tournament. I think for
who
sure.
are their good wins?
They beat UConn, Clemson ranked, and Ole Miss, and Michigan State.
And they've lost to
Arkansas State. That's a bad loss.
Holy crap. Arkansas
Temple.
State?
And Auburn.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really bad.
And they lost by 13. They got smoked.
Oh my gosh.
When they lose bad.
That's a bad loss.
Yeah.
That's a bad loss.
But you're 10-1. You're 20-4 overall.
But
your
their
conference
sucks.
I know, but if you're already 14 and you win the rest of your games, there's going to be enough movement where they say, okay, you'll be in the top.
I'm just worried about them not playing anybody and just kind of like sleepwalking through the rest of their schedule, getting into the tournament, and then being like, oh crap, these teams are
Penny
way
will
better
get the
than
boys. Penny will get the boys, Chris. Don't worry about it.
We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, my second team, UCLA.
Ugh.
Currently unranked, but they are the top receiving votes outside the top 25. So, in theory, 26. They are 18-6 overall, 9-4 in the Big Ten, which puts them 5th. They're good wins. They have swept Oregon. They beat them twice, one home, one away. They beat Arizona, Gonzaga, Wisconsin, and Michigan State. I mean, we might want to do Michigan. We might want to do Michigan State here coming up because at some point we'll do them. But they lost to Memphis.
Yeah.
They lost to UCLA. And they lost to Kansas, who I just went over. But
UCLA, tough matchup right now, playing Illinois.
Yeah, big game. But bad losses. They lost to Rutgers. That's not good. North Carolina, also not good. And then I think it was a result of their schedule, but they lost at Maryland and at Nebraska. So they haven't
whole right here.
Yeah, they haven't lost at home against
New Mexico's bad loss.
Against bad. No, it's not.
New Mexico's ranked.
They're not ranked, but they're number 1 in the Mountain West, and they're 20-4.
Yeah, but so what are they? They're not.
So they're first in the Mountain West.
Yeah, but that's a worse conference than what Memphis plays in.
No, it's not.
Yeah, yes, it is. These teams.
Yes.
The only other good team is Utah State, and you're obsessed with Utah State. Look at this, dog. This is a worse conference. This will have less teams than Memphis's.
Who's in Memphis's conference?
UAB.
They're making it?
I would say they would have the same, if not more, than that team.
Go to that bracketology thing. It'll say which conferences they're in. Mountain West 3. What one are you doing?
Must just be one then, huh? Memphis?
I don't know. Which conference are they in? American, aren't they?
They are in American. Oh, 0 or 1. So they have 1.
Yeah, 1.
All right, we'll see.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
I mean, I'm not gonna. I'll put good money that Memphis goes farther than New Mexico. I would take my one team over those 3.
But that is way different.
Well, okay, go ahead. We'll see.
I'm just saying, New Mexico is not a bad loss.
It's not a bad loss, but if they would have won, yes, it would be a world of a difference. You're just obsessed with UCLA because you just love them.
No, I'm being honest. Playing New Mexico and losing to New Mexico is not a bad loss.
All right, we'll see. We'll see.
They've won 20 games already this year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
But UCLA currently a 6th seed. The road trips have not been good for them, but overall they're like a fairly strong team. They've got some good wins. They've shown they can win on the road sometimes, but like long road trips have not been good for them.
Who did they beat on the road? Did you say?
They beat Oregon.
That's not a good win.
Really?
No, Oregon is the bottom of the Big Ten, dog.
I mean,
stinks.
They're ranked.
Oregon?
Aren't they?
Oregon? 5-8. Oregon is not ranked.
They have been ranked this year.
Oregon? Yeah. At the beginning, they're 11th in the Big Ten, my dog. They lost to the Gophers.
All right, they're not ranked right now.
They won't be ranked.
Just saying.
Yeah, I agree. UCLA. The thing is, UCLA they got at Purdue, which is a tough game, but they have a decently good schedule. And Indiana's not an easy game either.
Michigan State.
That's at home.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, where's the road games? They haven't had one good road win.
Oregon. When it happened, they were 12th in the country.
Okay. But
that's one.
That's not a good road win if they're now 5-8.
I would say at the time.
It doesn't matter that these
I'm pretty sure it counts as.
I think it's how they finish, isn't it? Can't you get a quad 1 win? I don't know. I guess that's more for the books. I thought it was you could turn them into a quad win or they turn into a bad loss. Hopefully not, because that would be a great win going to Oregon. But this also, road game is perfect for them because they just go straight up.
Yeah, exactly.
When they got to crawl, cross country for them is very difficult.
It has not been good to them.
Yeah, very difficult. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, if they can pull off a win against Illinois or Indiana, or these are your boys too, Northwestern.
They should be able to beat Indiana.
They should. Yes, Indiana's bad.
And it's only one time zone?
Like no, Indiana's on this
from
side
Pacific to Central?
No, it's 2 hours, right?
2 hours, but I mean, yeah, I guess.
Technically. I think there's no team that's like in that in between us.
Mountain?
Like Minnesota versus California, right? No.
Not in the Big Ten.
Not in the Big Ten, yeah. Not yet.
All right, who's your third team?
Oh, the boys. We talked about it before. Alabama. I rode last year Creighton very hard.
Yep, pause. You did.
And it worked out for a lot of people that rode them with me.
Wait. Pause.
Yeah, no, wait, sorry. Okay. Anyways, sorry, Mom, if you're listening. But pretty obvious pick, like you said. Big matchup this week at Auburn. But I do also think either way, we'll probably finish the seed, probably finish as a number 1 seed. They've already been there. They have experience with Grant Nelson, their big guy. Jesus. Look at Brunson. He stinks. Sears also has been to the tournament. Nate Oates, great coach. But the thing about it, like they just score. They're the number 1 scoring team in the nation. They almost average 100 points a game.
Yeah, they score a lot.
They score a lot. So they're fun to watch. They're gonna make a push. And they're also one of those teams where there's sometimes the teams go into the tournament and you're like, hey, maybe there's upset or whatever, maybe whatever. This team doesn't show that they would have a first or second round upset. I would be shocked if they lose in the first or second round. I would be.
Because they can score with it.
They can score whenever. They can score with the best of them. And also, they've been here and done it before, so they know what to expect.
True.
They're not young. Well, they have some young guys, but their leaders are older, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, Alabama. Big matchup this Saturday, like Chris said. What'd you call it? The Iron Bowl?
The Iron Bowl of basketball.
The Iron Bowl of basketball.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a thing. Probably not. It's got probably just a football thing.
I think so, yeah.
Both 9-1 in the conference.
Huge game.
Yeah, big game. And I'll say this. They also end the season at Auburn. Wait, wouldn't that be the Auburn Bowl? Isn't it the last game?
I mean,
either
in football, they only play each other once,
true.
But in basketball, they play twice.
But this is crazy. They play Texas tonight on the road.
Okay.
Home.
Yep.
Against Auburn. At 21 Missouri. Home against Kentucky 15. Home against Mississippi State 22. At Tennessee 5. Versus Florida at home number 3. At Auburn number 1. SEC is pretty freaking good.
Pretty tough schedule. I mean, wait, scroll down a bit. So they play Auburn twice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about the SEC.
I mean, if you could split these, if you can win one of them, you're good. I mean, you're probably good anyways, but yeah.
Hopefully.
We'll see what happens. 90 points a game, number 1 in the nation.
Yeah, we'll really have a good understanding of Alabama come tournament time because they will have played basically all teams that could make it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, Sweet 16.
Like, confidently say any of those teams could make it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and then they go to the SEC tournament, which are also the same freaking teams.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, interesting to see how many teams the SEC has. I mean, they could have freaking 12 teams go.
Yeah, they could. It's good for them, though, because they don't, have to win to necessarily, move up or down the seed lines.
Right.
At that point.
Well, and that's, the opposite of what we were talking about with Memphis. If Memphis loses, it looks horrible. These, they don't really move very much because it's SEC. You're playing the number 1 team or you're playing the number 5 team.
I mean, obviously, they want to win the majority of them, but if they lose a couple of them, it's not the end of the world.
Okay, it's going to happen.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, my third team, Marquette.
Okay.
Shaka. Number 18 rank currently.
Kind of a quiet 18. You don't really hear much about them.
Yep, they're 18-6 overall. They're 9-4 in the Big East. So they're good wins. They beat Purdue, they beat Wisconsin, and they beat Creighton. They split with Creighton, but they've beaten them once. Their bad losses, Dayton and Xavier. And the other bad thing is they've lost 3 games in a row. All to the top teams in the Big East.
Mm-hmm.
Those being Creighton, St. John's, and UConn. But the problem is you don't want to start losing to these good teams because, I mean, those are the teams that you're going to be playing in the tournament.
Yeah.
So they got to figure something out here coming up pretty quick. Otherwise, might not be good for them.
Yeah. For them, at least, they do kind of have an easier road going forward. But then their last 2 games will be a good test at UConn and home against St. John's. If you can win both of those going into your tournament, at least you have some momentum. Like these 3 losses, like you said, now Creighton's ranked.
Right.
Not good. But
not the end of the world because they are the 3 good team, the 3 other good teams in the Big East.
Yeah.
Currently, Marquette sits at a 5 seed, so I mean I could see them bumping up to 4. I don't know if I could see them getting to the 3 line. It starts to get tight there, but
yeah, with how competitive the SEC is and stuff.
I would expect anywhere from a 4 to a 6 right now. I don't think they'll drop farther than a 6 because I expect them to start winning games again. But
yeah, I will say the one hard part about Marquette is, well, they do score, but not like a ton. But they rely so much on Cam Jones.
So much.
Like he's literally the guy. I mean, he scored 27 points and they still lost by 10 points.
Yeah.
He scored a third of their points, if not more. So it's like, yeah, he has an off game. That's tough. But yeah, I don't know. It's got a good player and see what happens. I mean, he's a veteran, so he knows what's going on.
Yep.
He's a great guy to have.
Yeah. There you have it. Those are our 6 teams of the week.
6 teams. Be back next week for 6 more.
Yep.
And we'll see. Maybe you guys will ride them. Maybe you guys won't.
But at least you'll know more about them.
Ooh. At least you can't. We won't say we didn't tell you.
Yep.
Ooh.
All right, y'all.
God. All right. Peace.
See you later.
And Pete has 20 and 9, so he's close.
That's good.